Impact segment tonight. There are an estimated 2.2 billion Christians around the world and 1.6 billion Muslims. As we just reported, Muslim fanatics in the Middle East and Africa now actively murdering Christians, citing the Quran as justification in some cases. Joining us now from Boston, Ayaan Hirsi Ali, author of the new book, Heretic, Why Islam Needs a Reformation Now. So there is a lot of confusion, Miss Ali, about the Quran and how it addresses other religions. Can you clarify that for us?
There need not be any confusion. The Quran is very clear on other religions. The Quran and the Prophet Muhammad consider only the religion of Islam to be the legitimate religion. The Christians have lost their way, Jews are confused. There is, in many verses in the Quran, a separation between those who believe, in other words, those who are Muslim and those who are not. And in particular, Christians and Jews must be given three choices: either convert to Islam, pay a discriminatory tax, or die. There are numerous stories of the Prophet Muhammad in the Quran and outside of him invading, waging jihad, killing the men, and divvying up the women as slaves for those who fought along with him.
All right.
Now, you can say this is a document from the 7th century, but it's being applied today in many places.
It certainly hasn't been applied today, and the jihadists believe that, and you know, you can't deny it. They're going around. But the question is how look, on the 1.6 billion Muslims all around the world, what percentage of them believe that it's okay to harm people of other faiths? And I don't know. I just don't know. I will say that in the certain Christian religions, that if you don't become born again, you go to hell. And then they preach that if you don't become born again and if you don't accept Jesus as your Savior, it doesn't matter who you are, you're damned. So there are a lot of things in a lot of religions that are disturbing. But we're not seeing any other religion on the planet act out the way we are seeing Muslim zealots, fanatics, jihadists act out. But I have to ask you again, is that just the 10% minority, or does it speak for most Muslims, in your opinion?
When we see these Muslim fanatics and zealots act out, we also see that by far the largest number of victims are Muslims. But we also see that within Muslim countries, not in places that are in a civil war like Syria and Iraq and Yemen today, but even in so-called stable places like Pakistan and Bangladesh and Indonesia, we see Christians and other religious minorities, but particularly Christians, subject to all forms of persecution. And what we see is that the governments look away. We see blasphemy laws. You know the example of the Sudani woman who was accused of becoming an apostate. There are apostasy laws that condemn to death those who leave the religion, and in Sudan this woman didn't even leave the religion. She was never a Muslim.
In Iran they imprison people if they carry a Bible. In Saudi Arabia there's no other religion that's allowed except for Islam, and we know that. Now, in your book and in your life you've had a lot of interesting things. One of them is an imam named Fawad al-Bailey. Am I saying his name right? Fawad al-Bailey?
Al-Bailey, yeah.
Okay.
There he is.
Now, he is a radical Islamist, you say, who has now been appointed to preach in federal prisons. Number one, how do you know Mr. Bailey is a radical?
Well, I know him because he condemned me to death, saying that I had defamed the religion, and then citing the Quran and saying, well, those who defame the religion, they ought to be put to death.
How did he condemn you? Did he say that in a mosque? Where did he say that?
I was invited to come and speak at the university in Johnstown in Pennsylvania, and he was responding to that invitation. He wanted me to be disinvited, and he told the people who invited me that this is wrong, and then he said it to a journalist who called him, and he told the journalist, yes, she needs to be...
So he condemned you to death because of your opinions, and now he's speaking and being paid by the federal government to go to prisons and conduct religious ceremonies. Now, we asked the Federal Bureau of Prisons for a comment, and they would not give us one. So I think what you're saying is true, that the federal government has hired a radical Islamic guy to go into the prisons and radicalize Muslims inside the prisons. That's what it's all about, right?
Well, radicalize Muslim inmates, but also convert other inmates and then have other inmates who are converted or radicalized to carry on that exercise. And it's really quite a shame, because as we fight Islamic extremism with every weapon we can that is legal, I think one of the most important ways is to make sure that our institutions are not infiltrated. Inmates are a vulnerable category of people, and exposing them to radical ideas makes them even more vulnerable. Why are we paying taxpayer money?
I think it's outrageous, and I think we're going to follow up at the Bureau of Prisons and stop this. If you want to read Ms. Ali's full article, it was in the Wall Street Journal earlier this week, and the book again is Heretic.